turned unruly last night, causing damage to this 7-Eleven store during that chaos. Photos from inside that business show racks of food toppled over and items everywhere. No one was hurt, but tonight Chicago police say they had no choice but to make arrests.
ABC 7's Kate Kogirin live tonight near the 7-Eleven that was caught in the middle of all this. Kate?
Well, Robin and Judy, tonight police are hoping that these arrests send a message to the suspects and their families. Others we spoke with hopes this sends a larger message to the whole city to help Chicago's youth.
Chaos outside a South Loop 7-Eleven Sunday night. The crowd seen here rushing out of the store with their arms full of items, some throwing them in the air. Inside the store, aisles were ravaged and ransacked, are facing misdemeanor charges as a result of the so-called teen takeover.
We haven't arrested people like that, but this group got so out of hand that we had no choice.
Alvin Jackson saw the crowd at Roosevelt and Canal grow from a few dozen to a few hundred.
Just a few kids, then it got thicker and thicker and thicker, and it kept coming and kept coming and kept coming.
Alvin says at first things appeared to be peaceful. Then a small group of teenagers started to block traffic and attempt to break into stores.
Throwing the bottles, jumping on people's cars, trying to start fights, and trying to run into stores and stuff like that.
Police say once the crowd got out of hand, officers had no choice but to make arrests.
The arrests are the results of the actions. Before we asked them to move, asked them to go home, it was curfew time, and they did. This time they refused. We know everyone doesn't have a predictable home life, but we're trying to deal with the youth in a certain way.
Here's something that I'm looking at with all of this. I've thought about this, and it kind of even related to a book that I'm currently reading right now. So I guess the big question is, should kids be tried as adults? Okay. I know it may be like, Alex, they just took over. I mean, it's not like they really did anything. Not everyone did anything. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general. Okay, because as we seen, they destroyed the 7-Eleven. They were like, okay, fine. Kids want to hang out, at night. Cool. As long as the parents cool with it, cool, whatever. But then you see that these kids are, in fact, not just chilling out. These kids are blocking the street, disruption of traffic flow. You see that they're trying to loot from these places. These are criminals. Okay. I don't no way, shape, or form can you go and try to flip this around. These are criminals. Okay. You're breaking the law by disrupting the traffic flow. One, you're not supposed to be doing that. There's a reason why we have pedestrian. Hey, it's time for you to walk. It's called jaywalking if you just getting in the middle and just crossing the street and doing whatever. You know what I mean? So you're just out here doing stuff that could get you killed and have a liability for somebody else. Okay. So then you also have the fact that you guys are looting. You are doing that. It's not made up. And you guys are boasting about it. Like, yeah, look at me. Look, I just looted this place and doing all this. And it's like, is that supposed to, what is that supposed to mean? You're admitting to a crime. So you should be arrested, right? So they said they got 40 people. That's the number that they're throwing around, is that it is 40 people that they ended up getting. So there's that. But I kind of wanted to relate this to this book that I'm currently reading. This book called A Roar in Harlem by this guy. I forgot his real name, but Unique is his street name. This kid, for example, is supposed to be him when he was younger. Okay, that's really what it is. So this kid is 13 years old. And when I found out his age, I was like, this must be a typo, because there are some typos in this book and some grammatical errors. So I was like, it must be a typo. I was like, no way are you 13. And then they bring it up again. And I was like, oh shit, this motherfucker's 13 years old. I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. So the kid is 13 years old. He already has 2 babies on the way, obviously by 2 different women. He's killed people, we've already know, maybe even 10s, 20s of people. We don't know the exact number from what we have, okay? He has no love nor compassion, and he doesn't think that anyone has it for him, because he's like, how can you allow me to do free? How can you claim to love me, but you let me do freebase? And I'm seeing y'all crackheads looking like this. Why would you allow me to do it? You know what I mean? So he has no compassion. He has this nurse chick that, by the way, there's no dogging on the book. It is a difficult read because this is the reality that we are facing. This is the reality that we have with these rarities and pookies out here. But it is a very interesting read. But, he even has like this nurse who she's older, she's of age, okay? And she fell in love with him and all that. And she's over here saying, hey, I love you. And he's like, yeah, later for that. So it's always just dismissive, cannot accept love, cannot bring love into his heart because his heart is so cold. It's so broken, irreparable, I would say. And that goes into trying a kid as an adult. You've already matured so much. And everyone's like, he had a baby face. I didn't know he was 13. I thought he was like 19 or 18 with the baby face. Because he is so mature. Okay. So this is where I'm getting with this. I'll continue my point, but this is where I'm getting with this. Because you are so mature, because you have committed unspeakable acts, you've killed people, you've robbed people, you've done all this other stuff. Well, why, if you're playing big games, why should you then be tried as a child, as a minor, as a juvenile? Why should you then not be tried as an adult? We're going to get into a little bit more. So, throughout this book, he's mentioning like, God would tell me when to stop. Obviously, God's been okay with everything that I'm doing, and God's going to, he's going to tell me when to stop. And I'm just like, okay, like, I don't know, maybe when you're dead? Wouldn't that be a little too late to tell you to stop? I think there's been signs throughout. But throughout this whole thing, he's mentioning he's selling drugs. He's making the drugs. He's making the drugs. He's selling the drugs. He's on the drugs. Getting high on his own supply. Beating people up. I would say that's an assumption because of how his character has been talking. You would assume, yes, you are beating some people up. Shooting people, we know that. Killing people, we know that. Robbing people, just outright purses and all that, and carjackings. I just mentioned 8 things right there. And on top of everything else that's going on. You know what I mean? So, there you go. So I guess my question is this also. Why should a person like that be given 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15, 20, 25 chances? And if for those people who may think or say, but they don't get that many chances. So how can you have 50 charges? And I mean, we seen it was in Texas. This guy, he was driving without a license, whatever. They pulled him over, found out he had like 50 counts before. He's been arrested like 50 times. How does that happen? Why is it that this person is still out here in society? So that's, we've seen it so many times. Okay. Obviously the whole reason why they don't try them is because they're like, their minds are so small. They can't, they don't really understand what they're doing. They don't have the rationale for it, etc. But I don't see that. They're saying, we're supposed to rehabilitate. Well, it doesn't work, nor does locking them up in a cage. So why not just put them in a cage? Neither one of your options are working, and the Ray Rays is still out here. And what these older dudes are doing, these older guys, they're purposely using these younger ones because they know that they're not going to get a serious sentence. They know that they're probably going to get community service or probation. So why even waste my time? Why not just put you in harm's way and I could just go off scot-free and do all my other stuff that I'm doing, so that's also why they do that. But, that's something that I find to be interesting. And of course, with all of this, everything depends on the crimes and the situation. Okay. But if I got you on video robbing somebody, it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if you stole her nail filer. If I got you on video robbing somebody, I got you audio, I got pictures, I got all of this stuff, I got fingerprints. Even if I don't have everything, but I know it was you that did it because maybe I had one of the 4 different things I just named. Why should you now not be tried as an adult? Because think about it this way. Let's say, for example, you stick up a 7-Eleven, okay? Or insert store, doesn't matter. You have a gun in your hand, which is not legal, by the way, but you have a gun in your hand and you're out here committing your crime and you're doing what it is that you do. Okay. I got you on camera. Man, that ain't me. That ain't me. Because that's how they talk. Well, it is you. I see you here, and other people can vouch and confirm that it actually, in fact, is you. So where do we go with this? Okay. So what would be the option? If you're already robbing places, you got guns, you're doing this, you got that, why should you not then be tried as an adult and maybe do 10 years for that, right? Because who's to say that you couldn't have just pulled the trigger and killed him? I feel like this: if you're going to point a gun at somebody, you have every intention to kill that person. That's how I feel, because that's what it is. So if you have every intention to kill this person, then why should I let you get off scot-free? I don't get that. Okay, Alex, what about Grand Theft Auto? Same thing. It's not your car. It's not yours. And to follow laws and rules, I get people break things here and there, maybe going a little over the speed limit, maybe you jaywalked or whatever, but you're stealing people's identities. You're murdering people. You're beating people up. You're selling drugs. I'm talking about, like, it ain't even just weed. You know what I mean? You're out here selling that fentanyl. You're selling coke. You got, prostitution. I mean, you got all this crazy stuff that's going on. And you got younger people who are doing these different crimes. There was one that happened earlier this year. It was some, I guess, rapper boy or whatever. And he was on a school bus, and then he pulled the trigger, and then it got jammed because he was going to go and kill somebody on the school bus. Why should you not be tried as an adult? Anyone that does that, and of course, for me, I think there should be obviously rules. When I think the age needs to be lowered, because I would say then if you are 10 years old, okay, and I get people younger could commit crimes too. I'm just saying 10 years old, really 9 years old is the cutoff for me, because 9 you're in around 4th, 5th grade, depending on your birthday. Okay, that's old enough to know that you ain't supposed to be robbing people. That's old enough to know that you shouldn't even be having a gun. That's old enough to know that you shouldn't be doing all of this unnecessary stuff, okay, and violent stuff. So if that's the case, well, why not make it so that a 10-year-old would then be treated the same as an 18-year-old? Oh, but their minds aren't fully developed. My mind wasn't fully developed, and I never thought to get a gun. I never thought to go and kill somebody. I never thought to commit any kind of violence towards anybody. It's about proper home training, and then that again will fall onto the parent and or guardian that's a part of that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like with certain things, yes. You know what I mean? And really at certain ages. Because we're seeing, and the reason why it's prompted like this is because we're seeing younger and younger and younger constantly. You're seeing is mostly these black boys out here, but you're seeing them commit more crimes. At least it's more out in the open. And the thing about it is the fact that as it has been, shown, these people are so young, 13, 12, 11 years old committing these crimes. What if we started trying you all as adults? And they know, well, I'm 10 years old, yo. I'll be tried as an adult. I can't do this crime. You do it. Man, come on, man. I already got 2 strikes on me, man. Come on, I know you're only 11, but go. Then they'll start thinking, yo. Okay. I don't know about that, okay? I'm not sure if I really want to do it, because there's now real consequences. That's just how I look at it. There's now real consequences. So the person may be like, I don't know, because I would really get in trouble. Like I may be going to prison, like a juvenile detention, and then get transferred to the adult prison if I'm doing that. And obviously you're not going to be mixing prisons. You're not going to have a 12-year-old in there with an adult. You know what I mean? You'll still be in your juvenile thing, but once you get of age, we will be booting you to, where everyone else is, but that's something that I'm thinking, because with everyone who says, oh, that's not right, I think about it like this. How would you feel? Let's say you're a Ray Ray. A lot of y'all Ray Rays and y'all don't know. Okay. But let's say you're a Ray Ray or whoever who is not for this. Think about if someone broke into your house while you're there. They put a gun to your head. One guy has a gun pointed to you. The other one is just taking everything. You got 3 dudes just taking everything. And then maybe they shoot you in the foot or something. And you had everything on camera. They catch the guys. What would your response be for said robbers? Would it be, give them community service because they're 15 years old, which is still minor. So what would you give them? Would you really say, it's fine. I mean, I just lost 2 toes and I just lost literally everything, because they end up selling on the black market. So, I mean, I'm pretty screwed. But I mean, I think that they should get, community service. No, you would be like, I'm either one, get them, depending on who you are, or 2, I'm going to make sure that, they get the harshest sentencing that they can. So then again, well, why would you not want that? Because if you mess with them when they're minors, they're going to get a lesser sentence. Okay, that just is what it is. I just don't feel like because you then have brought pain, physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, traumatize some of these people. Oh my goodness, I was so scared to go to work when the Uvalde thing went on, the shooting that happened over there in Texas. I was very scared to go to work, and it didn't even happen to me. So imagine the people who actually did have this kind of stuff happen to them. So that's one of the things that I think about with this Chicago takeover. And I'm like, and granted, I mean, you have people out here, different kinds of things, but that's something that I really think about, because I'm like, how is it okay for y'all to just be out and they get community service? I'm not saying necessarily they need 10 years or anything like that, but maybe 6 months would do you good. Maybe even 3 months, and they don't even have to be year sentences. Maybe 3 months and like 200 hours of community service. Why? How would that be a problem? You know what I mean? That's what I feel like should be happening. I mean, something. Because I've been seeing some of these other crimes that people be committing. I mean, you could kill somebody and get 3 years. You know what I mean? So you didn't kill anyone, but let's give you 3 months, 6 months in jail, and 200, 400 hours of community service. So that's one of the things, because I'm just so tired of seeing, really it's the black youth that I'm more concerned about. It's seeing how destructive they are. They don't value anything. They don't love anybody but money. I mean, really just greed at the end of the day. So to me, I'm just like, what have we turned into? Everything that our black people fought for, and it has turned to nothing. I mean, we have really nothing to show besides a couple, black people got something going on over here. But I mean, these people take up all the shine, and it's a lot of them just out here doing a whole bunch of stuff. Same kind of thing that happened at that Kai Sanat thing up in New York. Now, they weren't as destructive as these Chicago teens were, but I looked in that crowd. There was an awful lot of black folks in there. I was like, God dang it, yo. I was like, God, man, really? It's like we got to always be in the news. But, I mean, that's pretty much what I got for that. Hey, I would greatly appreciate if you could support me. Simply go to ebay.com. In the search bar, type in Latrice Limited. Click on shops and then support me. I have a wide variety of items on there, many of my own personal Latrice Limited items, such as candles, bath bombs, soaps, essential oil blends, a whole bunch of stuff. I even have men's ties on there and comic books, trading cards, a whole bunch of stuff, large variety of items. Definitely support me, and do not forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.